Good morning, everyone. I want to welcome everybody to the July 18th Subdivision Utility Advisory Board meeting. First item, could we have the opening announcements, please?
Before we begin the agenda, the Wichita-Sedgwick County Metropolitan Area Planning Commission would like to take this opportunity to welcome everyone to this public hearing. Copies of the agenda for today's meeting, the public hearing procedure, and Planning Department staff reports on all agenda items are available on the counter in the lobby. The Planning Commission's bylaws limit the applicant of a subdivision application and his or her representatives to a total of 10 minutes of speaking time at the start of the hearing on that item, plus up to 2 minutes at the conclusion of that hearing. All other persons wishing to speak on agenda items are limited to 3 minutes per person. However, if they feel that it is needed and justified, the Commission may extend these times by a majority vote. All speakers are requested to state his or her name and address for the record when beginning to speak. When you are finished speaking, please share your name, address, and the case number on the sheet provided in the room. This will enable staff to notify you if there are any additional proceedings concerning that item. All speakers at the podium, please remove your face mask before speaking into the microphone.
Thank you. Could we have roll call, please?
Yes, sir. Bill Johnson.
Present.
Tony Zimbelman. Bob Duell is absent. Jocelyn Klontz. Bob Aldridge.
Here.
Josh Blick is absent. John Williams Bay. Sir, I show 2 members are absent, 5 members are present, and neither of the alternates are here.
Thank you. The next item need to talk about is we're going to have to elect a vice chair. I don't think we've had a vice chair all year. And I think formally it's been alternated between a city appointee or a county appointee. Since I'm a county appointee, I would assume it'll be a city appointee. And usually that position goes in and takes over the subdivision committee. And that's coming up very shortly. So we're barely going to get this done in time for the change. We don't have to do anything today, but I wanted everybody to think about it and see who everybody thinks ought to take that position. Scott, you need anything?
No, sir.
All right. First case, vacation case number 2, or item number 2, vacation case 2024-00033.
Yes, good morning, Subdivision Committee. Philip Zievenbergen with Planning Staff. Vacation 2433 is a request to vacate a portion of a 15-foot platted easement on Lot 1, Block A, Snook Edition. This is in the county. It is located on the east side of South 151st Street West and about a half mile north of West Maple. Property's address is 271 South 151st Street West. You can go to the aerial image, please. The applicant is looking to vacate this easement primarily to bring a partially constructed detached garage into compliance. They did receive a building permit, and it wasn't until partial construction had commenced that the easement was discovered. And my understanding is that they've kind of paused construction until the outcome of the vacation application. The easement in question runs the full length of the north property line of this lot. However, they're just looking, the request is only for this eastern portion of the easement. There are no utilities in the easement at this time. The staff comments that I received was that Sedgwick County Public Works and Fire do not have any objection to the request. It is in the 3-mile ring of Wichita, and so we did reach out to Wichita City Water. I think we have their exhibit up there as well. Their comment is that they would like to retain the eastern 83.28 feet. If you go to the next one, please, for future possible water, city water extensions, there you go, in the future. However, when we reach out to franchise utilities AT&T commented that even though they don't have any services in the easement at this time, they do have plans to extend fiber through this easement next year. And so they actually don't want to get rid of any of the easement. If we go back to the aerial, their concession, I believe the agent has spoken with them, is that they're willing to vacate the portion of the easement that the garage is encroaching, as long as they can retain the north 5 feet of that portion of the easement. So it's a 15-foot easement, essentially vacating 10 feet of the easement in this location only, so that they retain the 5 feet on the north side to get their fiber next to the garage, and that would retain the rest of the easement so that they can install fiber to the lots all the way down the line. So that is their comment. Evergy and Cox do not have equipment in the area. They do not object to the vacation. I have not heard any public comment regarding this application, and I could stand for any comments or questions.
Any questions of staff? Seeing none, thank you. Advisory board members, any comments?
Rondi with Evergy, 4025 North Tobin. I believe there's a 15-foot utility easement to the north of this one and farther to the west that we are in, so we don't have any objection.
Thank you. Applicant or agent, please.
Thank you. Jay Cook, Baughman Company, 315 South Ellis. As Philip was saying, we're just trying to get a building in compliance that maybe was built a little too hastily before we found out that there was an easement there. If you'll go to the next two slides from here, next slide. And then the next, yeah. This 83 feet, we're willing to give that up. That's not a big deal. And then as far as AT&T goes, I did reach out to Jason Stuber with AT&T, and we talked about possibly bringing the fiber up through this 15-foot utility easement, which is how we would prefer it. But if it's the board's wishes to just maintain a 5-foot throughout there, that would be fine with our client. Otherwise, the requirements set forth by the planning staff, numbers 1 through 4, are all agreeable, and we don't have an issue with any of those, and be willing to stand for any questions.
Any questions of the agent?
Bill, I have a question for Evergy. Your easement is up there north, what he's talking about, possibility of AT&T running up there. Would that?
I'm not sure.
We had a vacation request for complete access control, and we have a J-can or a switch box out on the road where they're going to move because they're going to have to move it to put their new drive in. And that's where we're coming from our J-can into their lot in that 15-foot easement. I don't think we're anywhere in that other easement that they're asking to request today.
Okay, good. I just want to make sure that, okay, thank you.
I don't know where their point of connection is coming into that lot for communication, but that's where ours is.
Okay. As far as a question for the agent, is the existing home that's sitting there now, is that in any portion of the existing easement now?
The home is not. There's a detached garage that is encroaching on that.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Thank you. Anybody else present in the commission? Yes, Philip?
Just for staff's clarification, and I'm going to have Jay answer this, is the applicant's request now to, except for the east 83.28 feet that City Water wants to retain as easement, is your request now to, if you go back to the original extent that shows the vacation area, is your request to vacate essentially the south 10 feet along this entire strip until that eastern 83 feet? Is that what, or are you going to just request to vacate only the area that the garage is in?
I think to keep it as clean as possible, we would just do the south 10 feet along the entirety until the 83 feet here, if that's the pleasure of the board. Otherwise, we can work with whatever.
And that would give AT&T a 5-foot easement along this stretch to put their fiber in. I just wanted to clarify because there was a couple moving parts here. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, JR.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Philip, is that consistent with the language in the staff report?
The staff report would have to be updated regarding, well, the condition number 1 was written in response to AT&T's comment, but if the will of the subdivision committee is to vacate the south 10 feet for that strip, except for the 83, condition number 1 would change for the MAPC staff report.
Okay, but AT&T requested that it just be the garage encroachment area.
That is correct, that AT&T, this would go in opposition to AT&T's request. In speaking with them, their concern was just having enough feet to go past the garage. And then they really kind of were silent on whether or not they only needed 5 feet the rest of it. The focus was mainly the garage.
Okay, thank you.
Is there anybody else present wanting to speak on this item? Seeing none, I'll bring it back to board. What's the pleasure, board? I'm just gonna voice my opinion. I don't have a problem narrowing it up where the garage is, but that's quite a distance. 5-foot easement to get utilities in. Chances are they won't get in the 5 foot. They'll have another case back in front of us, but anyway, what's the pleasure of the board?
Mr. Chair, I sort of agree with you. I think right now, since the encroachment area only covers from where the garage is, I think that the allowance of vacation of that easement should only pertain to that perimeter where the garage is located, and not the other additional that the applicant or the agent is requesting. So I'm gonna make a motion that we approve the request, but only pertaining to where the location of the encroachment on the garage is.
Second.
Got a motion by Mr. Aldridge, second by Mr. John Wiensby. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Passes 5-0. Item number 3, subdivision 2024-00024.
Morning, Greg Sharon, planning staff. Present the Vineyard Terraces 3 edition. Next screen, please. This is, and next screen. This is a preliminary plat for a 17-lot residential subdivision in the county. And it is associated with a zone change 2424, change from RR rural residential to SF20, single family residential. Next screen, please. This is the preliminary plat on the screen. First go through the waivers that would be needed. The plat denotes a street stub extending to the east and south line of the property to provide connection with potential subdivision of unplatted property. Section 7201V of the subdivision regulations require a temporary turnaround for street stubs greater than 150 feet. Although Sedgwick County Fire has only required a temporary turnaround cul-de-sac on the middle stub street to the south and at the end of North 208th Street. Therefore, a waiver modification will be needed from the required turnaround at the east end of West 33rd Street North and the south end of North 214th West. Go through staff comments. Item A, associated with zone change and any related conditions. Prior to the plat being released for Board of Commissioners approval, the zone change will need to be approved by the BOCC. Item B, since sanitary sewer is unavailable, serve the property. MABCD requires test for on-site sewage. Memo is required and soils work shall be completed. Item C, the site is located within rural water district number 4. If feasible and available, they shall need to connect to the rural water district. Item D, County Stormwater has reviewed the applicant's drainage plan and request revisions to be consistent with requirements of the Wichita-Sedgwick County Stormwater Manual. Item E, complete access controls with one 70-foot opening is shown along North 215th Street West. County Public Works approves of the access controls along 215th Street. They request 75-foot of access controls along proposed 33rd Street adjacent to 215th Street, and approves of the right-of-way dedications and advises that the temporary cul-de-sacs on the turnaround roadway needs to be shifted west in order to accommodate a full 96 feet diameter drivable surface turnaround. Item G, county fire comment regarding service drive compliance code. Item K, GIS approves of street names and requests a name for the street connection to the south, the curved road to the south. And item N, the applicant has platted 35-foot front setbacks and street setbacks. And item W, Evergy comments that the plat is outside of their territory and no transmission. And item X, Sedgwick County Electric Co-op has reviewed the plat and requested additional easements, and they have been forwarded to the agent to be included on the final plat Mylar. Stand for questions.
Any questions of staff? Yes, Bo.
Yes, sir, you gave reference on item D that there needs to be a revision where it's more in line with the stormwater manual. Do you by chance know what that revision is?
There were a whole lot of revisions that were sent separately to the agent. I do not know specifically, maybe someone from county would be able to advise on that.
Daniel Schramp with Sedgwick County Public Works. So we have received a revised drainage plan. It's been reviewed, but it hasn't been approved yet at this point. He thinks it's looking pretty good. And this is a preliminary plat, not a final plat. So I think we're in a pretty good spot with that. I think part of what that included was there's been a reserve added for drainage purposes. There was no pond, a detention pond before on this plat, and I believe that's what is being addressed on the drainage plan.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions of staff? Thank you. How about the advisory board members? Any comments?
Rondi with Evergy, no additional comment.
Applicant or agent, please.
Dan Garber with Garber Surveying on behalf of the applicant, 2908 North Plum in Hutchinson and 544 West Douglas here in Wichita. We're in full agreement with the staff comments. This is a plat that was brought to you. No, this is a different one. So yeah, we're in agreement with staff comments on this. The drainage plan revisions, as Daniel mentioned, have been resubmitted. We just haven't received approval of that yet, but it had to do with the two reserves that you see on the plat, Reserve A and Reserve B for detention purposes.
Any questions of the agent? Seeing none, thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else present wishing to speak on this item? Seeing none, I'll bring it back to commission. What's the pleasure of the board?
I'll move to approve with staff comments. A second.
Got a motion approved by Mr. Zimmelman, second by Mr. Aldridge. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Hello.
Can we get clarification on the waiver? Does the motion include the waiver?
Yes. Yes.
Thank you. All in favor, say aye. Did I say that? Yeah, I think I did. All right, let's go to item 4, subdivision 2022 00045.
Good morning. Greg Sharon, planning staff, here to present the Miller DeGraff and Reed edition. Next screen, please. This is for a 3-lot residential subdivision in the county. This is a revised preliminary plat, final plat. The original preliminary plat consisted of 7 lots when it was reviewed back in 2022. This plat reflects a revision from the original 7 lots to 3 lots. Next screen, please. And then the next screen. Go through the waivers. Request a waiver of lot to depth ratio for lots 2 and 3. Go through staff comments. Item A, sewer water is unavailable to serve the property. So soils tests will need to be done for on-site sewage and water wells. Soil work needs to be completed. Item E, county stormwater has received and approved a drainage plan. Item G, complete access controls are shown along North 135th Street with 1-foot opening. Public Works has approved the access control and the street dedications. Item I, standard county fire department regarding service drives. And item E, Evergy notes that property is outside Evergy territory. However, there is a transmission along the west line of the plat and is located within the platted area. Item AA, Sedgwick County Electric Co-op has reviewed the plat and requested additional easements which have been forwarded to the agent to be included on the final Mylar plat. So we'll stand for questions.
Any questions of staff? Seeing none. Advisory board members, any comments?
Rondi with Evergy, 4025 North Tobin. The transmission, we believe we hold that KG&E easement on the eastern side of the plat. I believe that Tim Weiss from Evergy reached out to Mr. Garber regarding this. This information was not provided on the preliminary plat. All of KG&E easements for transmission need to be on preliminaries and one-step finals so that we know where we're at. However, they did indicate to me that they they need to see the final design as well as the grading, and would have hesitation supporting the drainage and floodway reserve as it is proposed, because there is a potential to create standing or flowing water past our structures that could cause structure instability issues. We would not support an excavation in the easement without further analysis. Even after analysis, it is complete excavation may not be permitted. They are expected to call back from the actual surveyor to verify this. And then I provided Mr. Tim Weiss in our Evergy Transmission Engineering Department as the contact, because that would be who you need to reach out to. Thank you.
Anyone else? Thank you. Applicant or agent?
Dan Garber, Garber Surveying, 2908 North Plum Street, Hutchinson, 544 West Douglas in Wichita. This is a rework of a plat that we submitted in 2022, as Greg said. And the applicant determined that the cost of the public road at that time was just too expensive for only 7 lots. So he went to a private drive here. We do show the 25-foot KG&E easement on the final plat. We'll get it added to the preliminary as well. And I don't believe there's any grading planned for that west 87-foot floodway reserve. It's simply where water flows now along the west side of the subdivision. So if any grading is planned, I'll ask the applicant to get in touch with Evergy. But I don't believe any grading is planned in that easement. I stand for any questions. We are in agreement with staff comments.
Any questions of the agent? Seeing none, thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else present speak on this item? Anybody else? Seeing none, I'll bring it back to commission. What's the pleasure of the board?
Mr. Chair, I got a question. My concerns on this, especially being the final plat, does this, or should this be worked out with Evergy before it moves forward to the full body planning, or do you think those issues can be taken care of prior?
Well, it's a preliminary, so. Scott?
Yes, sir. It's the staff report. I did the same thing. It says preliminary plat / final plat. So I would want Greg to clarify.
Yeah. Back in 2002, it was submitted as a one step. So it was a preliminary / final plat. So it was approved originally, gone through Plan Commission, and was approved as originally 7 lots. So this is a revised of basically that preliminary and final. So it's actually a revised one-step plat.
So how many steps, how many times will this committee see this?
This committee just once, because it will go next week to the Plan Commission for final approval.
That is, if it's approved.
Correct, yes.
Evergy?
Mr. Aldridge, normally our transmission department always asks for final grading plans and everything before they go forward with the actual project. Because in this case, we don't service it distributionally, so we won't meter any services, any houses or anything out there. So it'll just be with transmission. So I'm pretty sure that normally they would submit their final plans to us for anything regarding our easement and that drainage. But I thought it was a preliminary as well, because he said that the final plat would have the easement on it. So I'm not sure how we go forward.
Well, because I've got a copy of the final plat right here too, so everything was combined, so that's where I'm getting confused. Is it a preliminary or is it a final? So it sounds like to me this is gonna wind up being a final, because after us, it's not gonna, we won't hear the case again. It goes right to the full body planning. So my concern is I just want to make sure that some of the concerns and the issues that Evergy is bringing up are taken care of and handled prior going to the full body next week. So would that be on the applicant then, correct?
Yep.
So
Can we ask the applicant to state their preference here?
I actually saw this as a one-step final plat, so preliminary and final together, and forgot that we were using the preliminary from 2 years ago. I think that the KG&E easement was not on that preliminary plat. When we got the title work, it showed up. So it is on this final plat. I don't believe the drainage plan, and I don't have a copy in my file, I don't believe it shows any grading in that west easement. So I will consult the drainage plan and the engineer and make sure there's nothing happening there that would impact KG&E, and if so, we'll get in touch with them. And
Do you have any objections to deferring this?
well, the client would, but I'm at your pleasure.
Well, now that brings up another question. Instead of deferring it, which I really don't want to do, could this be, in your opinion, can this be worked out prior to next Thursday?
In my opinion, yes. Yeah.
Okay, therefore I don't.
And we could defer it there if we don't have that worked out.
Okay.
I can't speak to that because it's not my area of expertise. Mr. Weiss would have to speak to it, but I'm sure that they do it every day. I mean, I send every plat that's got every transmission line in it within a quarter mile, whether it's in the plat or if it's around the plat, because sometimes it'll affect entrances, things like that, and what we do and don't allow in it. So I'm pretty sure Mr. Weiss will be glad to work with him.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Weiss did call me, and I indicated to him that that was on the final plat, and he seemed to be content with that.
Okay.
Go ahead, Mr. Aldridge.
I'd like to go ahead and make a motion, and we do approve it with the condition that the discussions that we just got done having regarding the utilities be addressed and agreed upon before the full body of MAPC hears it next week.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? 5-0. Thank you. Okay. Item number 5, subdivision 2024-00003.
Good morning, Greg, Sharon, planning staff. Here to present the Yellowstone edition. Next screen, please. And then the next screen. Next screen. This is the final plat for a 322 lot residential subdivision in the city of Wichita. First go through the waivers. Section 7201R of the sub-regulations states that in order to provide for the development of residential areas characterized by streets with reduced traffic speeds, volumes, and absence of through traffic, the platting of streets with a single point of access and egress cul-de-sac is permitted. Streets that are designed to have a single point of ingress egress shall not be longer than 800 feet for urban subdivisions. This is an urban subdivision, and the proposed Mill Street and Mill Street Court provide only a single point of access egress off of West Pawnee Avenue and measures over 800 feet. So upon City Fire Department approval of this road being over 800 feet, a waiver will be needed for that. Once again, that is dependent upon City Fire approval of that road being over 800 feet. We'll go through staff comments. Item A, Public Works requires water sewer to be extended to all lots. Water transmission fees are due. Water line will need to be extended, and a sanitary sewer line will need to be extended. Public Works requests a utility plan be submitted for review. Additional easements may be requested based upon the review. Advises that additional easements may be needed along the south side of plat depending on how large sanitary sewer main is constructed. And the 10-foot drainage easement request along the east side of the plat. A revised plat has been submitted, and that has been provided on the final plat. Item E, county stormwater management approves of the drainage plan. Item F, county stormwater management reviewed the submitted drainage plan and request revisions on clarifications of that per that review. Item I, traffic engineering requires traffic calming elements along Covington Street, requires a stop sign northbound Shefford Circle at Yosemite Shefford Street, advises that any modifications of the mediums along Pawnee Avenue to accommodate openings will require a PPP. States that openings along 119th Street should line up with Green's addition on the west side of 119th, and states southbound left turn auxiliary lanes on 119th Street for Haddon and Yosemite are needed. Item J, County Public Works approves of access controls along South 119th Street and approves of the connection to the south at the reduced width that matches city right-of-way. City Fire Department, standard comment regarding fire hydrants and apparatus roads. They do request type 2 curb for Reserve A. Fire Department notes lots in Mill Street Circle Court do not meet the 2 fire apparatus roads over 30 dwellings. Therefore, this portion of the plat is not approved. City Fire Department notes if lots are multifamily, they do not meet the 2 fire apparatus requirements for over 30 dwellings, and also advises that 2 fire apparatus roads are required for 30 dwellings for multifamily on Greenfield Court, Cedar Crest Court, Yosemite Court, lots, and Shepherd Circle. Item I, standard environmental health comment regarding irrigation wells. Item M, GIS approves of the street names. And item B, Evergy, that should be, will not need to request any additional easements at this time, and proposed street light placements need to be approved by traffic engineering. Let's stand for questions.
Any questions of staff? Seeing none, thank you. Advisory board members?
Wendy with Evergy, 4025 North Tobin. No additional easements, just streetlights that have already been approved by Mr. Lee. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? Applicant or agent?
Chris Rose with Baughman Company, agent for the applicant. The applicant agrees with staff comments except for a couple of items here. Just for clarification, the only multifamily area is this area right here. And as you can see, there's actually 2 points of access there. The rest of it is single family, including this Millstead circle here. So the comments that are made by fire, the 3rd comment and the 4th comment should be removed since there's only 24 lots in that single family area there. With that, I will stand for questions.
Any questions of the agent?
I have a question. I've been given a plat, and I don't know if everybody else has it, but it's actually a plat of the commercial development up on the corner. That's not part of this.
That's the next plat. That's the next item.
That's
We have 2 of them. We originally platted this, or preliminary plat, the whole thing, so everybody could kind of see what the commercial side is as well. And then we split it for the final plat. 2 things happens there is we didn't want to, we have petitions that we have to do with the plat, so the commercial is a little bit different than the single family and the multifamily, so we just wanted to split those.
Thank you. Anybody else? Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else present wanting to speak on this item? Seeing none, I'll bring it back to commission. What's the pleasure of the board?
Mr. Chair, I'd like to hear the comments from fire, if they're from city fire, if they're okay with the comments just made.
Jose O'Katy's Wichita Fire. I have been in contact with Chris Rose, and he did clarify of the areas with the duplexes or multifamily versus single family. So fire does approve the proposed plat.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. What's the pleasure of the board?
Move to approve for staff comments.
Second.
Got a motion to approve? Any discussion? And second, any discussion?
And would that also include any waivers? Does fire approve the waiver request?
Yeah, so according to our code that we do allow anything pre-approval from 800 feet, there will have to be a 26-foot wide street accessibility to our hydrants, and what we've done in the past, or what we call is a bump out. So we'll work with that with Chris Rose.
Just for clarity, there are issues in our subdivision regulations under Chapter 7 that require a waiver. However, this board or MAPC cannot provide the waiver if it matches like the fire code, for example. So and when that occurs, and it was pointed out this time, we want to make sure that not only do you guys approve the waiver as it relates to the subdivision regulations, but the utility in question also approves that as well before it goes forward. Because if fire were not to have approved that condition, then our waiver doesn't make any difference at that point. Does that make sense? Okay,
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, we got a motion and okayed the waiver and had a second. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? 5-0, thank you. Item number 6, subdivision 2024-00035.
Morning, Greg Sharon, planning staff, presenting the Yellowstone Commercial Edition. As Chris had previously mentioned, this was commercial portion of the original Yellowstone Edition preliminary plat that was approved per sub 24-0003. So they had just taken the commercial portion of that overall subdivision and created a separate final plat. So this portion has been reviewed preliminary as a preliminary plat. So next screen, please. And next screen. Go through staff comments. Item A, Public Works requires water sewer to be extended to all lots. Water transmission fees are due. Sanitary sewer main need to be extended southeast of plat before the plat can be served with sewer services. County Public Works has requested a 30-foot utility easement along the rear of lots 3 through 12. Those have been provided on this revised plat as you see on the screen. Public Works requests an updated utility plan. Additional easements may be requested based upon that review, and notes that no masonry walls or concrete footings in public easements. Only a removable fence will be allowed in easements. Item D, County Stormwater Management has reviewed and submitted subdivision drainage plan, and revisions to those plans will need to be made. I got a comment from City Stormwater Management that they have received a plan on 7/8/24 and has approved the drainage plan. Item E, access controls shown along West Pawnee Avenue with 2 50-foot wide openings and 1 30-foot wide joint access easement, and 2 50-foot wide openings and 2 30-foot wide joint access easements along South 119th Street West. Item F, traffic engineering approves of access controls and openings. Advises that modifications to medians along Pawnee Avenue to accommodate openings will require PPP. States openings along 119th should line up with Gern's addition on the west side of 119th. Item G, County Public Works approves of access controls and openings along 119th Street. Item H, standard commercial statement regarding fire hydrant locations and appropriate fire apparatus access roads. Item I, standard comment, county health or city health regarding irrigation wells. Item J, all of the county surveying comments have been included on this plat, as you see on the screen. And item V, Evergy will not need to request additional easements. And there are no street lights since this is a commercial property. I stand for questions.
Questions? Mr. Aldridge?
Access to lot 12, would that be the southeast of the Millstead Street? It'd be at the bottom or the southeast portion of lot 12.
Yeah, I believe so. I will let the applicant comment on access to that
It's
lot.
not clearly marked on the plat, that's why I was questioning.
Okay.
Any other questions? Thank you. Advisory board members?
Daniel Schrant, Sedgwick County Public Works. There was a comment on there about stormwater requesting some revision. Those were in regards to water quality and quantity, specifically with 119th Street. Stormwater is okay with the approval per the city of Wichita, so we can move forward. Thank you.
Thank you.
Rondi with Evergy. Heidi Bryan will be the representative for putting power in the ground for equipment. However, meter sets or anything to do with the actual building of units and metering those will be to Samantha or Sammy Whalen. She's the area design rep.
Thank you. Applicant or agent?
Chris Rose with Baughman Company, agent for the applicant. The applicant agrees with staff comments. Mr. Aldridge, your question, lot 12 does not have access to Millstead Street. It's CAC along that easterly line of lot 12, and then lot 1 there is if that thing ever redevelops into some sort of a residential apartment type use, then they would be allowed an access point there on Millstead. What we do is we provide a cross lot agreement with the plat that allows all lots to have access to everywhere in this development.
Okay, yeah, I'm just curious, I didn't see it defined.
Yeah, what we didn't want to do is on Millstead Street, use that as a commercial type traffic since we're trying to do that more as residential. But we also wanted to try to plan kind of for the future a little bit. I know a lot of times you've been seeing some commercial properties converted into residential. And so what we've tried to do there is, plan for the future that could happen, either with apartments or whatever. But the applicant's first priority is to have that as commercial, but he wanted options. And if you go back to Yellowstone Edition, you saw that even on the south side, we had some road that's kind of abuts the lot 2. There is a reserve there, but we also were trying to kind of plan for the future there a little bit, that Haddon Street. That way, if that ever did, commercial never went in that area, that we could, have easy access to the commercial to convert it into residential.
Okay, so if that's, when it gets developed in lot 12, then basically what you're saying is the access would be off of lot 11 between 10, 11 on the cross lot?
Yeah, 10, 11, or 1. I would say that there's probably going to be some sort of rear access road there on 1 or 11, 12, and over to the little finger for lot 1 to go out on Pawnee or whatever.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Any other questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else present wanting to speak on this item? Anybody else? Seeing none, I'll bring it back to commission. What's the pleasure of the board?
Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion that we approve for staff recommendations and comments, including any waivers that might apply.
Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Motion by Mr. Aldridge, second by Mr. Zimmelman. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Item number 7, subdivision 2024-0036.
Good
Morning, Greg Sharon, planning staff here to present PAF edition. Next screen, please. This is a one-step final plat for a one-lot commercial subdivision located within the county. It is located within 3 miles of the city of Wichita. Next screen, please. And the next screen. Go through the waivers. This will require a waiver of the lot depth to width ratio per section 7204D, which states that the maximum depth of the commercial lot shall not exceed 3 times the width of the lot. So a waiver will need to be granted for that. Go through staff comments. Item A, Public Works Utilities requires applicant to sign a no protest agreement for future extension of sanitary sewer. Item B, since sanitary sewer is unavailable to serve the property, the applicant shall contact MABCD to find out what tests for sewage memo shall be needed and then obtained. Item C, site is located within the Rural Water District number 4. So if available and feasible, MABCD recommends connection. Item D, County Stormwater Management has reviewed the submitted drainage plan and requests the applicant to submit revisions on clarifications. Item E, complete access controls with 1 40-foot opening as shown along West Pawnee Avenue. County Public Works approves of access controls and the right-of-way dedication. Item H, standard county fire department comment regarding service drive. Item K, protective overlay certificate shall be submitted to MABD. And item U, Evergy has reviewed the plat and will not need to request additional easements at this time. I stand for questions.
Any questions, staff? Advisory board members, any comments?
Daniel Schramm with Sedgwick County Public Works. Per item D, the stormwater plan was approved by Scott Lindebeck on July 9th.
Thank you.
I'll
Anybody?
do with Evergy, no additional comment.
Thank you. Applicant or agent?
Chris Rose with Baughman Company, agent for the applicant. The applicant agrees with staff comments, and I'll stand for any questions.
Any questions of the agent? Seeing none, thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else present want to speak on this item? Seeing none, I'll bring it back to board. What's the pleasure of the board?
Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion that we approve per staff recommendations and comments, including the required waivers.
Have a second?
Second.
Got a motion to approve by, in second, any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? 5-0. Item number 8, subdivision 2024-00037.
Good morning, Greg Sharon, planning staff, here to present the Mossman subdivision addition. Next screen, please. And next screen. This is a 2-lot industrial subdivision located within the city and associated with PUD case 24-0006. Next screen, please. Go through staff comments. City of Wichita Public Works Utilities advises water and sanitary sewer is available. Private project sewer is abandoning the sewer line that is being vacated via the plat. And a water rehab project is abandoning the water line and the right-of-way that is being vacated via the plat. Item D, a received notice from city stormwater management, that drainage plan was submitted on July 17th and will be approved prior to 7/25 Plan Commission meeting. Item G, City Fire Department comment regarding fire hydrants and apparatus roads. Item H, complete access controls except for one 50-foot opening are indicated along East 9th Street North. Item I, traffic engineering states 70-foot right-of-way along hillside is needed. And a certificate of closure is required for any existing drive approaches that will not be utilized for this plat. Item J, environmental health standard comment regarding irrigation wells. Item K, a notice of PUD will need to be submitted to the planning department. And item V, Evergy is the applicant for this plat and have no comments and will not need to request any additional easements. I stand for questions.
Any questions of staff? Seeing none, thank you. Advisory board members, any comments?
Rondi with Evergy. I've listed someone as a contact, but I'm sure that Rebecca will be who you talk to because she represents us.
Joe Hickle, City Stormwater. One clarification to item D, the drainage plan. It was approved this AM. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? Applicant or agent, please.
Good morning, Rebecca Milius, PEC, 303 South Topeka. We're in agreement with staff comment, and I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions of the agent? Seeing none, thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else present want to speak on this item? Oh, yes, Philip.
I just want to note for the record that the plan unit development has been considered by the Planning Commission, and I believe it's in its protest period now and would be on its way to City Council.
Thank you.
For the associated zoning for the subdivision.
What's the pleasure of the board?
Move for approval with staff comments. Second.
Got a motion to approve and a second. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? 5-0. Any other business? Yes, Scott.
Yes, sir. Just a quick note on an item that we'd like to bring to you for your considerations. We've, at the request of some folks, we are looking at our staff report and identifying how those can be reorganized, not to change the content, but to just make it easier for the applicant and for you all to use. And so I'd like to work at getting this on your agenda, maybe at the next subdivision meeting or maybe the next one. But just want to give you a heads up. So if you see that document, it'll have a bunch of colors. You'll see it in your packet, just so you know what it is.
Thank you. Anything else? If not, we're adjourned.